Hey guys, Trevor Chicuti here from SpineWise, and today I want to talk to you about back pain. And if you're someone who's dealt with back pain ongoing for a long period of time, haven't really found success in terms of anything that gives you long-lasting improvement or benefit, it keeps coming back, or even if you find you're somebody who has had back pain and you've had problems with your knees or your feet as well, but they've kind of only been mild or moderate, or maybe you just feel like your feet just aren't right, then today I want to talk to you, because what I really want to talk to you about is how your first toe, your actual big toe, may be contributing to your lower back pain. Alright, so let's start. Before we get into that, I want to talk to you about a mechanism that we need to understand in our feet, because it's really important. So if we look at our foot here, so this is our whole foot coming through, we have a series of bones in our feet. So we have a few through our forefoot, our toes themselves, and then we have this whole complex through this front area of the ankle in that area there. And the reason we have all these things here, it kind of mimics our hand, if you can see that. And what we're trying to do with this is we need to provide a nice flexible supporting surface for when we land, but then a rigid solid surface so that we can push off. So we want to absorb shock on the way down and we want to push off on the way out. And this is actually a very complicated thing to do that requires some very interesting neurology. But one of the key ways we do this is through tendons that sit underneath the feet. So this is our big toe here. So if we just grab a different color here. So with our big toe here, there's actually like a tendon or a sheath that comes from under the foot and actually crosses towards the heel. And what it basically does is when the foot is landing down, the foot stays nice and flexible and loose. But then when we have a situation where we're going to take off, the big toe extends backwards like that. So we're going from this flat position to this position here where our big toe is now extending. And when it extends, it pulls on this tendon. Okay, it actually draws a tendon. So the tendon gets pulled in that kind of a direction. And by doing it, it shortens the length of the tendon. And what it does is it actually locks the foot into an arch. And as it locks the foot into that arch solid position, now what we have is a firm position where the foot can actually take off from. So how does this mechanism contribute to lower back pain? This is really interesting. So this is what we call our windlass mechanism. And in some people, there's a really unique little thing that happens. And I'm going to show you a test for it at the end of this. So stay tuned and have a look at this. I'm going to show you a test. But in some people, what will happen is their big toe moves nice and freely when we just sit down and we're not moving. But as soon as we stand up and put weight on our feet, we find our big toe doesn't extend anymore. It won't tilt backwards. So the problem we have with this then is when we go to toe off and our foot is in that position, we don't get the extension through this area here, which means this tendon stays loose, our forefoot stays loose, and we don't get that rigid surface to push off, which causes our feet to collapse and change in orientation as we move. So this mechanism is what, or this process is what we call a functional hallux limitus. So hallux being the big toe, and functionally limited meaning it moves, it just doesn't move when it's meant to move, when you're actually using it as a function. So what does this actually mean? So some key things that happen to our feet during this process, we often end up with pronation where the foot will roll in. The ankle often rotates as well. The knee will often drop in as well. So we get this whole curvature thing coming through. And as we get that occur, quite often that results in an unleveling of our pelvis, so a tilting of the lower part of our spine. So all that together can put a lot of pressure on the lower spine, which can then also create issues with the neck, can create headaches, can create jaw problems. There's a whole lot of different things that have been associated with functional hallux limitus. So how can we test for this process? How can you know if you're one of these people? Well, it's actually very simple. All you need to do is sit down on a chair and just get someone to see if they can get your big toe and move it. If you can move the big toe with your foot relaxed, you pass step 1 of this process. Step 2, now stand up. And as you're standing up, relax your feet, don't help anybody, get someone to reach, grab your big toe and see if they can still tilt it up at least 10 or 15 degrees without too much resistance. And if you can do that, there's a good chance you don't have this problem. If you can't do that and you're still restricted in movement, then there's a good chance that that problem is actually related to what we call a functional hallux limitus, and this may be contributing to your lower back, and it may be something that may make a difference to you heading forward if you were to get that resolved. Anyway guys, if you have any questions with the functional hallux limitus, the windlass mechanism and how it can affect your lower back, just post it up or send me a message. Always happy to help in any way, shape I can. Otherwise, I shall catch you in the next vid. Bye for now.